Welcome back to Offside Talk Podcast. I'm Jessica, and today we've got an absolutely electric topic. Chelsea have pulled off a double signing shocker, Jamie Gittens from Dortmund and Joao Pedro from Brighton. Plus, both players are set to immediately feature in the Club World Cup. Ethan, this is huge.
It really is. Chelsea haven't just made a splash. They've basically set off fireworks in the transfer market. Gittens was already on the radar of top European clubs, and Joao Pedro is quietly becoming one of the most exciting talents in the Premier League. By bringing them both in at once, Chelsea are signaling that they aren't here to play around.
Exactly. Let's start with Gittens. The 20-year-old winger has that raw, explosive energy that can change a game in seconds. At Dortmund, he showed flashes of brilliance, cutting inside, fearless dribbling, and a knack for scoring in big matches. But what stands out most is his mentality. He wants the ball in the most stressful moments, and that's something you can't teach.
That mentality is everything. Chelsea fans have been craving that kind of fearless attacker. Someone who's not afraid to take on defenders and make things happen rather than just passing it off. And Chelsea locking him down on a long-term deal shows they see him as a cornerstone for their future, not just a rotation option.
Then there's Joao Pedro. This guy has quietly evolved into a dynamic forward capable of playing as a central striker, a second striker, or even as a winger. His movement off the ball is top class, and he's developed a killer instinct in front of goal. Brighton gave him a platform, but Chelsea will give him the global stage.
And don't forget, Pedro has this charisma that fits perfectly with Chelsea's new brand identity. He brings flair, unpredictability, and that touch of Samba magic. You can already imagine Stamford Bridge buzzing every time he gets the ball.
What really blows my mind is that these signings aren't just for the Premier League grind. Chelsea are throwing them straight into the Club World Cup squad. It's a massive gamble because they'll have barely any time to adapt. But it also shows Chelsea's hunger to dominate not just in England, but on the world stage.
Right. The Club World Cup is usually treated as an afterthought by some European clubs, but Chelsea are using it to make a statement. They're basically telling the world, we are here, we're building for the future, and we're not afraid to throw our young stars into the deep end. It's a bold strategy that could either skyrocket these players' confidence or expose them to extreme pressure.
And this raises an interesting question for fans. Do you want your club to nurture players slowly, or do you want them battle-tested right away? Chelsea's approach is clearly the latter, sink or swim. But it also gives these players a chance to immediately become heroes.
That's the beauty of football, right? These risks create the stories we love to talk about. Gittens scoring a decisive goal in a Club World Cup semifinal would instantly etch his name in Chelsea folklore. Same with Joao Pedro. He could write his legacy before even playing a single Premier League game for the club. And let's not ignore the commercial angle. These signings and this bold Club World Cup inclusion generate headlines worldwide. Merch sales, sponsorships, social media buzz. This is modern football at its finest. Chelsea aren't just building a team. They're building a global brand moment by moment. Couldn't agree more. And that's just scratching the surface. In the next part, we'll break down how these signings impact Chelsea's tactical setup and what it means for existing stars in the squad. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to part 2 of Offside Talk. Last time we explored what Gittens and Pedro bring individually. Now let's talk about how they change Chelsea's tactical setup and what this means for existing stars.
Absolutely. Let's start with formation. Chelsea could lean into a 4-2-3-1 with Gittens on the left wing and Pedro either as a false 9 or tucked in behind a main striker. This flexibility allows them to attack in waves and keep defenders guessing.
Exactly. It also opens up rotation options. Raheem Sterling and Mykhailo Mudryk might see reduced minutes, but they'll also face less pressure to play every match. Competition for places will push everyone to a higher level.
Gittens' directness on the wing complements Pedro's ability to drop deep and link play. Chelsea could finally have that balance between wide speed and central creativity they've been lacking.
And think of Enzo Fernandez and Caicedo behind them. The two new signings will benefit from a strong midfield spine. That means more freedom to express themselves and less defensive burden.
True. The big question is how this affects players like Nicholas Jackson or Armando Broja. Do they stay and fight for minutes, or will we see more exits?
It's a good problem to have. Top clubs need depth, and Chelsea are building a squad ready for multiple competitions. But these changes will definitely create drama within the squad.
Plus, let's not forget the emotional side. Fans love seeing new stars arrive, but there's always heartbreak when fan favorites get pushed out. Stamford Bridge will be buzzing and maybe even divided.
And beyond tactics, this bold move tells young players worldwide that Chelsea is a place where youth will get chances, even on the biggest stages like the Club World Cup.
That's such a strong recruiting message. And we'll discuss that deeper in part 3, including what this means for Chelsea's future and global image. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to part 3 of Offside Talk. Now let's look at what these signings mean for Chelsea's long-term vision and their global brand.
Exactly. Chelsea's aggressive approach isn't just about immediate success. It's about positioning themselves as a modern, fearless superclub. By investing in young stars like Gittens and Pedro, they're signaling to the world that they're willing to take big risks to build something special.
And this resonates with the global fan base. Younger fans today want excitement, big personalities, and players they can follow on social media. Gittens and Pedro both fit that profile perfectly. They're not just good players, they're potential global icons.
You nailed it. Think about how much content Chelsea can generate around these guys. Training clips, behind-the-scenes stories, interviews, brand collaborations. All of that grows the club's reach far beyond match days.
Exactly. And from a business perspective, it's genius. Every highlight reel, every viral clip, every piece of exclusive content adds to Chelsea's brand value. It's not just about winning trophies anymore. It's about creating a global entertainment machine.
But this strategy has its risks too. If Gittens and Pedro struggle, it could hurt the club's image and slow down the momentum. Fans can be unforgiving, especially on social media.
True, but Chelsea seem ready to accept that risk. They want to inspire a new generation, and you can't do that playing it safe. Fans want bold moves. They want stories they can brag about, moments that make them feel part of something bigger.
And on the pitch, if these signings click, Chelsea could become one of the most entertaining teams in the world. The blend of youth, flair, and unpredictability could make them a nightmare for any defense.
Absolutely. It's a gamble, but if it works, it sets Chelsea up as a trendsetter in world football. In the final part, we'll discuss the wider impact on the Premier League and how rival clubs might respond. You won't want to miss it. Welcome back to the final part of our deep dive. Let's talk about how Chelsea's bold moves might shake up the Premier League and what rival clubs could do in response.
Great point. When a club like Chelsea makes such high-profile, youth-focused signings, it forces everyone else to rethink their strategies. Clubs like Arsenal and Manchester City have already invested heavily in young talents, but Chelsea, taking it to this level, puts pressure on everyone to stay competitive.
Exactly. Imagine being at Liverpool or Tottenham right now. You see Chelsea bringing in Gittens and Pedro, preparing them for global competitions like the Club World Cup, and you start questioning whether your own youth pipeline is strong enough to compete.
And for mid-table teams, it sets a new standard. They might not have the same budget, but they'll have to double down on scouting and developing their own academy stars. Otherwise, the gap will only grow wider.
It also impacts the transfer market as a whole. Prices for young, high-potential players are going to skyrocket even more. Clubs will fight harder for teenage stars, and agents will have more leverage than ever.
Exactly. And this isn't just a Premier League problem. This move sends ripples throughout Europe. Clubs in Spain, Germany, and Italy will take notice. Everyone wants to be seen as a forward-thinking, modern club that gives young talent a real shot.
And there's the fan aspect, too. Supporters crave fresh energy and love to watch young players develop. If Chelsea's gamble pays off, it could inspire a cultural shift where more clubs prioritize building new stars over buying established veterans.
But if it fails, it could also reinforce conservative strategies at rival clubs, making them hesitant to take similar risks. That's the beauty of football: high stakes, high rewards, and endless storylines.
Absolutely. No matter what happens, these signings have already changed the narrative for Chelsea and forced everyone to pay attention. We'll be following this closely all season long.
And that's a wrap on today's massive episode. Thanks for joining us on Offside Talk Podcast. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below telling us which player or club move you want us to break down next.
See you next time.